Hi, I'm Lauren with Bargain Bead Box, and today we're going to be using the February 2024 Budding Romance Collection to create a fun pendant necklace that's kind of got a fancy, almost regal design using the components from the box. You've got a single to double strand construction and these fun little beaded garnet double teardrop patterns to echo the teardrop pendant. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so this pattern does use a decent amount of things from the box. You've got your toggle clasp, garnet rounds, the 10mm Malaysia jade, flower spacer beads, bead caps, the faceted pendant, 8mm Malaysia jade, and the 6x4mm Malaysia jade rondelles. Now the only items that are not in this box are going to be some of your very basic findings. So you've got Find 1105, which are crimp beads. You've got Find 1089, which are wire guardians. Space 1360, which are bail beads. Ring 125, which is going to be, it's a jump ring mix I'm using, but you can use any gold finish jump rings that you like. These items are from the Bead Box Bargain store. I am also stringing on a fused nylon bead thread. This is a 6-pound thread. You can use any brand you like. I do recommend the clear though. And the final necklace that I made is about 21 inches long. And it is doubled over, so you're going to want to cut probably at least 48 inches, maybe 50, 52, 54, give yourself a little extra to work with. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to do is take my wire guardian and I'm going to string it on. I've folded my cord in half. I've got both ends here, and I'm going to put one end through one side of the wire guardian and one end through the other side. Then we're going to pull that, and I like to use wire guardians. Here you go, you can see. I like to use wire guardians because they help protect the cord from any sharp edges and make it easy for the toggle clasp to move around. So that is the next thing that we are going to use here. And this one does come with a little jump ring holding it together. We're just going to get that off real fast so that we can add it to the necklace. All right, here we go. And I think I'm going to put the bar of the toggle clasp on first here. Okay. Now we're just going to pull that to the very middle. And let it settle kind of in the middle of the wire guardian. And I'm going to squeeze the wire guardian shut just a little bit because this one's pretty open and I like it to come together. There we go. Just a little bit. All right. Well, hang on. I got my towel trapped upside down. There we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be stringing on the two cords together. And we're going to do a simple pattern. This is where if you want your necklace to be longer or shorter, you can add or subtract these little pattern bits. It's going to be a garnet bead, followed by 3 of the 6x4 rondelles, followed by another garnet bead, and then a flower bead. And each of these segments comes out to being roughly an inch long. So for example, if you only want a 19-inch necklace, you could just do one segment instead of the 2 I'm going to do here. If you want it longer, you can add more. And this is going to be strung onto both cords. I usually start on one and then pull the other in. And the reason we're using 2 cords is that we're going to separate for part of the pattern that we're doing towards the middle of the piece. And I'm just going to string this pattern on here twice, followed by one more Malaysia jade rondelle and one more garnet bead. And this is just sort of a thinner pattern to give the toggle clasp some room to move. Here we go. And we're just going to repeat that pattern again. All right, and now we're going to do one garnet bead and one more rondelle, and then we're going to be moving on to the larger bit of the pattern right before we split the strands. Okay, now we're going to do a garnet bead followed by a bead cap followed by one of those 8mm matte rondelles. Or I'm sorry, rounds, 8mm matte rounds. And now another bead cap. And if you are a person who likes beading needles, you can absolutely use a beading needle with this. I just like to use the flexible cord by itself, but I understand not everybody does. All right, we're going to do one more garnet round. And now we're going to do a rondelle, a bead cap, and a 10mm round. So these nice faceted 10mm pieces. Okay, so now we're just going to repeat this pattern inverse. So bead cap, rondelle, garnet, another one of the 8mm with bead caps, and then one more garnet piece. Okay, so now we're getting into the fun part. We're going to do one more garnet, rondelle, garnet, and then we're going to split the strands apart, and we're going to make a little teardrop pattern with a flower at its center and another teardrop. Well, the flower is really at the center between the teardrops, but it's going to be fun. All right. So here's where we're going to split our strings apart. We're going to do 5 garnet beads on each string. And then we'll come back together through a central flower. All right, so now we're going to take a bead, we're going to string it through the bottom here, and then we're going to come over, we're going to take our other end of the cord, and we're going to come back through the top of the bead so that the strands are going opposite directions. And we're going to pull that tight on both ends. There we go. All right, so we've got 1/2 of our little loopy teardrop. And now we're just going to do 5 more of the garnet beads on either side. And then at the end, instead of going either way through one more garnet bead, we're going to put both strands going the same direction through a final garnet bead, and that will finish our teardrop. All right, we've got 5 on either side. Now I'm going to pull the cords together again. I like one to be a little longer than the other so we can get the bead through one cord at a time. And now we go the same direction with both cords up through a garnet round. And there we have the other side of our teardrop. So we've got kind of a double drop with the flower in the middle. All right, so now we're going to go back to beading with both strands. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Malaysia jade bead, then a garnet round, then a bead cap, then an 8mm with the satin semi-matte finish, and then another garnet round, a Malaysia jade, and then one final garnet round. All right, so we're going to go ahead and string all of those on both strands. All right, and now you're ready to repeat this double teardrop pattern. So again, we're going to separate the strands, and we're going to do 5 garnet beads on either side. We're going to come back through the top and bottom, like going crisscross through a flower. And then we'll repeat with 5 more, and then both strands through that final garnet bead. So here we go. I'm going to make one more of these. All right, and we're going to go bottom to top through the flower with the left cord, and then top to bottom with the right cord. So we can pull that tight. And now 5 more beads on each strand, and then through that final garnet with both ends, going the same direction. And now back through a garnet round with both strands facing the same direction to close it. All right, there we go. Now we're going to do the center of our design that's going to hold the pendant. And we're going to do that with a Malaysia jade rondelle, then garnet, then we're going to go bead cap, 10mm bead cap, garnet, rondelle, bead cap, 8mm bead cap, and another rondelle. So here we go. All right, so now we're going to string on our bail bead that is going to help us connect our pendant. And you can, if you want, go ahead and connect that before you string it too. All right, so I'm just going to open a small jump ring here. And I'm going to run it through my pendant and through the loop on my bail bead. And then we'll close it up. All right. Alrighty, so there's really your whole necklace pattern. The next steps are to just mirror this whole side. So we'll go the Malaysia jade, then another bead cap, 8mm bead cap, Malaysia jade, garnet, bead cap, 10mm bead cap, garnet, Malaysia jade, garnet. And then you're going to do repeat with your garnet double teardrop here. Little segment in between, another garnet double teardrop. And then up the end, you're just going to have this little bit here where it goes the Malaysia Jade, garnet, 8mm with bead caps, garnet, Malaysia Jade, 10mm with bead caps, Malaysia Jade, garnet, 8mm with bead caps, garnet, Malaysia Jade, garnet. And then all you got to do is your little final segment, which again, if you want to adjust the length, this is a good place to do it. This is at the back of the neck. And you've got your spacer bead, garnet, Malaysia Jade rondelles. I've done 3, garnet, and then that pattern repeats. So I'm not going to show you me beading the whole rest of it just because this is going to take a minute and we've already watched through it once. So our next step after we finish all that beading is going to be adding on the clasp at the end. So we'll go ahead and we'll bead up, this will mirror this pattern again so you can see it. Here's the pattern down by the pendant. Here's the garnet in the middle. And then the pattern at the end looks like that. You're just going to go completely up and mirror it. Okay, so once you're done with all that stringing and you've mirrored the pattern and it now looks like this all the way up. There's the center. Well, that's upside down, but you get the idea. All the way up here. Now it's time to attach your other clasp half. So I've strung on a clamshell bead tip followed by a crimp bead. And I'm not actually super interested in crimping the plastic cord or the nylon cord, it doesn't really need it. I'm mostly using it to make sure that my knot is big enough not to go through the hole in the center of the clamshell. So I've put them back through crosswise, pulled it tight, and I'm gonna squish it just a tiny bit, but not too much. Again, I'm not trying to break or cut through the cord. I'm just trying to keep my knot there. And now I've already trimmed the ends. I'll be honest, my ends were actually really short, so make sure you leave yourself enough room to work with. Because you do have the crisscrossing in this design, it will eat up a little more cord than a regular design. And then I'm going to shut the clamshell. All right, and now you've got this nice little loop on the end. All we need to do is open up a jump ring and attach the clasp. All right, so I've got my little jump ring tool. Decided to try one of these. I actually really like it. You might have to start carrying these in our store. They do make things a little easier. All right, and now we're gonna shut that jump ring. No, I didn't quite get that even. Okay, there we go. All right. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to like and subscribe. We'll have lots more tutorials and fun things coming up for you. Also, we'd love to see what you make with the Bargain Bead Box. Our Facebook group, the Bargain Bead Box Creative Corner, is completely dedicated to sharing your designs. And we do have a fun giveaway contest associated with that as well. So please feel free to visit and join our group. Again, thank you so much and happy beading.